Last week on This Broker Life, we had Josh Pitts from Shred Media, who was talking to us all about how to be in front of the camera, how to utilize video in marketing yourself as a mortgage professional. Today, we're talking to Dave Tanner from BHBTV and BHB Rich Media, who's our company, who also produces this show, to talk about what we can do to help you in creating that video content Josh talked about last week. Let's go.
Better listen up, we about to make it happen. So hot, we burn it up. We just can't get enough. Get down now, have some fun, cause we about to make it, we about to make it happen.
All right, welcome to This Broker Life. We are super pumped to have my colleague and your best friend in the industry, Dave Tanner, joining us here from BHB TV. Dave, how are you?
I'm good. I'm everybody's best friend, I guess, before this goes out. We'll see after.
Well, maybe you might be more of a best friend after this. Obviously, thanks for joining us. You and I work together on a regular basis. So, and you used to host our old podcast as well, which was fun to do. But you are super busy now because BHB TV, let's get into a little bit about what BHB is doing now, because obviously I can tell everybody, but you can tell more as you're in the trenches talking to lenders and brokers and appraisers and lawyers and everything now. What's going on at BHB TV? What's going on with BHB in general? What's changed, Dave?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me on your show now. It was a lot of fun to host, but like you said, there's so much going on here that it's, and I know everybody's busy. It's not one of those sob stories where I'm too busy. It's you're better at this, so this is what you should be doing. You're exactly right. Been in the trenches, been in California talking to private lenders, heading to Ottawa, doing the Toronto thing, all the shows. But yeah, lots going on here, as you well know, but we'll let the audience in if they haven't already heard. We've got a new arm of the company starting out, and been around for a little while now, BHBRM, which is BHB Rich Media. So we've still got the BHB TV, the streaming side of things, and that's going well. Lots of lenders jumping on board, lots of partners buying in now. It's been a great success for us. A little bit of the concern we saw in the industry when out selling channels was we don't produce content. We don't do enough content. We're thinking about it. We really want to start. Well, we thought, this is where we need to help. This is where we need to come in. So we developed BHB Rich Media, which is essentially a full service media production, content creation provider is basically what we're also doing now, what we've expanded to. So very exciting time. Really now there's no reason not to get involved because we've provided a lot of different solutions. We've got a few different packages for lenders and partners in the industry to jump on board with BHB TV while we offer an affordable package or bunch of packages for lenders and partners to help them create the content.
So let's talk about that for a second, because creating content, we talked to Josh Pitts last week. I know you saw that episode, and he talked about the importance of creating content. Obviously, they do it from a company standpoint. They do it a lot more regularly than you would have to as a mortgage professional. But why would a mortgage professional, what's happening in content right now, Dave, that you think, somebody's going to need to use BHB Rich Media because, there's to stand out, I guess, is the difference. What's going to make them stand out?
Success lies in the ability to condense your thoughts into usable information that lasts but a few minutes. People now are, I'm not saying this in our industry or in any industry in particular, but people in general are inherently lazier than they were. They don't want to have to search around for content. They want to come to one place for content. And when they see video, it really forces them to act more. and become engaged. You can engage with your audience far better through video than any other media, really. That's why, social medias are always pushing do video content. And they're right, because it hits better. It's more likable. It's more shareable. Those are big words in the social media industry. But definitely video content. If you have that ability to take a lot of information, pack it down into a few minutes, that's the stuff that hits the hardest. And that's what's most important to get out to your audience.
So I don't need then a ton of, do I need like an HD camera? Do I need a 4K camera? Do I need to get the microphone set up like you and I have? Or is it simpler than that?
Oh, it's far simpler now. Any basic home office setup you'll have the ability to create video content. If you've got a better phone than an iPhone 7, you can create video content. It's so easy, it's inexpensive, it's quick to do. It's not as daunting a task as people think. Sometimes people just need a little bit of a boost to get started, a little bit of maybe some production that can be hired out, a little bit of production value, and it's not hard to get started. Zoom quality has come a long way. Things are recorded on Zoom now. Obviously, the 4K camera still looks like the creme de la creme of video.
Yeah.
But, like I said, Zoom quality's come a long way. If you're using a MacBook or anything like that, any computer with a webcam now, and you can go to town.
Yeah, and I think you hit on something really important there, and that's the Zoom quality. And people say, okay, well, we've had Zoom fatigue. I don't know if I want to record a show or even my social media stuff on Zoom. But I think what we need to make sure the audience understands is that's just where the raw footage is coming, right? I mean, this is just the raw footage. But then when you get somebody like BHB Rich Media or whomever you're using to edit, maybe you have somebody on staff, I don't know. But if you're using it and editing it and making bumpers for it and animations and having the logo fly in and things like that, it's not going to look like a Zoom in the end product, is it?
No, absolutely not. And that's what we've been working towards is producing good quality, great quality content for people. Not to sound salesy, but that's what you just said is everything we do here, and obviously we're not the only providers of this service. I like to think we do a really good job at a really affordable price for everyone, but there's lots of companies out there that do it. So certainly engage somebody to help with your content creation. It doesn't have to be fancy right off the bat. It can just be, a little bit of added production value. It just, again, getting back to your original point, it makes you stand out and it makes you different, right?
Yeah,
and that's what
I think,
want.
But you hit on price too. I think that one of the things that's cool about what you and what we as a company have is the small business package in particular, where it makes it affordable, because a lot of the video production you see out there, you're talking $5,000 to $8,000 per produced video. And I know when you and I were researching that as a company and we were just flabbergasted by the fact that there was so much high cost to producing content. And I think one of the things that gives our company an advantage for sure is the fact that it's not our primary business. And so because of that, and because we're making revenues elsewhere, we don't need to charge $8,000 a video, do we?
Can you imagine $8,000 a video? A small business person,
but that's standard, Dave. I mean, there was some
I know
that we looked at that were like $10,000 a video.
Oh, you're right. We were flabbergasted. But can you imagine a small business owner wants 6 videos to put out bi-monthly through the year, and he's at $70,000 for that production. It's ridiculous. So yeah, we've absolutely, and that's been part of our success driver, I think, is pricing it properly for your audience. You have to know who you're dealing with. Small business owners, be they brokers or whomever, the amount of spend they want is minimal. So it's very simple to put together some good quality stuff for them. at a reasonable price for sure.
Yeah, I mean, this podcast is produced by BHB Rich Media, and if you're looking at this podcast right now, watching it, this is kind of this is what you would get: the graphics that came in earlier with Dave's name on them, the bumpers that start up, the theme song that we have, all of that comes through that small business package, doesn't it? And it's just done from Zoom. Essentially, Zoom.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's no need to travel and spend a lot of money like we alluded to earlier on fancy equipment. I mean, my mic and I think my entire setup was probably $250.
Yeah,
minus my laptop, obviously, but yeah, you don't need to spend a ton of money to get started. Is basically, I guess, to break it down into its simplest terms, it's affordable to do. You're crazy if you're not doing it. Video. I know. I always have said, video content is king, right?
Yeah.
Josh came on, kind of kicked the shit out of that a little bit. He said he agrees, but he wants to take that a little bit deeper and say, quality content is king. And that's absolutely right. You have to, like I said, if you have the ability to condense down good information, into usable little pieces, that's what people gobble up. And I will say that you and I are sort of and our team is certainly the industry experts, I would say, because we've been monitoring this for so long and we've seen the trends. We know what hits. So yeah, we can pretend we know what we're talking about a little bit here.
Yeah, well, we do know what we're talking about. And that's the thing too. Like, if you think about this, we know the audience, right? And the audience is the mortgage client for most mortgage professionals, or in the lender's cases, it's the mortgage professional themselves. And we know both audiences. And talk a little bit about why you think that's an advantage, because I think that's an advantage for sure, is having the industry experience behind us on top of the media creation. That, I think, sets us out differently. And that's not just tooting our own horn. I think that's just absolutely the truth. It sets us out differently than, say, just a generalized, camera guy company that's out there right now that could help record a commercial for you. It's very different because we know the audience, right?
Well, that's extremely important in any business. You have to know your audience and to know both sides of it, and again, when you asked me to come on and speak about this, I not that I was hesitant, but I didn't want to come on and, be a BHBTV hard sell here. This is a conversation. And like we've alluded to before, there are other guys that do it, but I think what sets us apart is exactly that, knowing both sides. With BHBTV, we know the lenders, and we know what hits with the brokers and the agents out there. And we know our end user as well. Right. And we know what our end user is watching. So it's definitely an advantage to, your vast experience in the industry. I have much less than you, but drawing on your vast experience, we do know exactly what hits, and we're able to coach. Part of that, part of our packages, it's not listed anywhere, but what it comes with is coaching, consulting, helping. So, we have packages that include that.
So you just hit on Dave consulting, and I think that is something that maybe is really lacking in the industry, and that is now something that we're offering as well. And that is, whether that's from a lender perspective or a major partner perspective, where you have more of a marketing budget, you have more of a marketing need for content. It's important to have that consulting, isn't it?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. If you can produce, great quality, quick videos, through our coaching, your audience will just be that much more vast. It'll grow quicker. They'll engage more. Video content, well-produced video content. I was just reading a day or two ago. It hits 200 to 300% better than any media forms. Whether
that makes total sense.
To read something or.
Well, because you've got everybody twerking and doing different things and everybody's doing video now, and they know they're supposed to. It helps market them and blah, 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 blah. Even just in the individual doing it. And that's great. And content, as you said, is king, but now it's becoming the quality content. And I think you're speaking to that right now. The produced, curated, coached, planned, and well-produced podcasts, or even just any kind of content is, if planned and consulted on, is hitting a lot higher.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, and just knowing where to turn for help. We're obviously we want to be that company that can help and does help, but it's funny that the talking to people in the industry, there is some hesitancy. It seemed for a little while when we got going here. To create any sort of video content. Oh, we're not doing that. We're not. Well, guess what? If you're not, you're going to be left behind, And one of the things we ran into a while back now, but someone said, talking about the BHBTV platform, they said, well, we don't want to sort of exist beside our competitors. That was the dumbest thing I'd ever heard in my entire life, to be perfectly honest with you. We don't want to. So, okay. Guess where we got told that? At a trade show where that company had a table right beside the other company that they were talking about, that they weren't sure they wanted to exist in the same place.
Coexisting with their content right there.
Are you kidding me?
Show.
Are you kidding me?
Too funny.
Anyway, speaking of trade shows, another thing we often say is we are the 24/7 trade show for the industry. So you want to talk about, effective budget spend? We're here 24/7. And again, not to sound salesy, but it's a point that you have to drive home. We've been told by multiple people, lenders, brokers, you guys are like a 24/7 trade show. And I wanted to get that out there before this wraps, because that's one of my favorite things I've heard. And it's
been multiple lenders that have said that now.
Yeah.
And part of that is because it's just the truth. It's on 24/7. You can watch any FirstNet video or UWM video or Caliber video or whatever's on the platform. You can watch that 2:00 in the morning if you want to. So it is that 24/7 trade show booth. And essentially it's also the fact that, you can do it so quickly, right? Like, I mean, I can go watch a Rabideau Law channel video that he just put out, and then I can go and watch something from Home Trust, and I can do that all within the next 10 minutes. So coexisting beside your competitor is the most ridiculous, bonkers thing I've ever heard, because that's what brokers want. What are you thinking? Like, that doesn't even make sense. They want you.
Well, it's that one stop. So it's that one-stop shop that we've become, right? It's
that was so short-sighted. It's just.
I'm sure our jaws hit the ground. It would have been great to watch a replay of that. Absolutely. Because, like, how dumb is that? But it's. I know some people get it. Some people really. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I hope the company that did that is not thinking, "Wow, we think you're dumb," but we kind of do, because that was just a very silly way, short-sighted marketing. Yeah,
very short-sighted. But yeah, I don't. Anyway, but aside from that, that's
Love it. We're getting feisty. It's getting fired up here on this broker life. But I think, just to kind of wrap it up a little bit, I wanted to talk to you about how easy it is to get started with this. So, we talk about the ease of the fact that we can use Zoom and things like that. But how really, truly easy is it to get started on a BHB Rich Media package, to get started with your content?
So BHB, the whole premise behind BHB was brokers helping brokers, and yes, while you and I and our team were effectively not brokers, that came from our original Mortgage Magnates days, where we had, top producing brokers and agents helping other brokers and agents by putting their social content that we would generally record for them and putting them up on the platform. So that's a little bit of the BHB history, because I know you didn't ask, but just bear with me because I am going somewhere here. But brokers helping brokers. So what we're doing now is we're helping brokers save time and a lot of thought. What I mean by that is, as far as the end user, we've made our platform as absolutely easy as we could do it. We don't have, you don't have to provide an email to download it. You don't have to provide a password. It's obviously free. It's a free service. We'll always be that way for the end user. And that was from a broker feedback group that we'd spoken to a year ago or so. So that that's brokers helping brokers, and we're still trying to do that. So that's how that helps brokers save time in the end, and save them a pain in the butt. But it also, we've made it easier for lenders and partners to get involved. So the whole thing about ease is exactly that. We've made it easy for everyone to get involved. Lenders that do and partners that do end up coming on BHBTV, we've made it super simple with a Dropbox to put your content in. And as far as BHB Rich Media, we have our packages listed on our website. I know you always plug them at the end to go to. We've got our packages listed there. We've made it super simple. They're very easy to navigate through. They're very easy to land on one and decide that's what you want to do. And we try and take all the pain in the ass out of it from there. It's again, back to the BHB thing. It's brokers helping brokers. We don't want to make anybody's life more complicated. We want to help you get the job done as easily as we can.
Yeah, with the changing mortgage market, I think that it's so important to stand out from the broker or agent or loan officer down the street, because and Josh Pitts said this last week. He was talking about standing out from the broker down the street and how the industry's changing with rates and everything. And as we start to contract a little bit from the busy days, you want to be the one that stands out, because mortgages are always needed, whether the rates are high or not. There's going to be people that are needing a mortgage, needing to refi, needing to renew, needing to move their mortgage and transfer it. But there won't be as many people. It's not going to be quite as easy to get, because others will be able to wait it out. So because of that, you need to stand out if you want that market share. Ray Reyes says it best on one of our platform, one of the ones that we did as part of our platform. And he talks about market proofing your business. If you haven't watched that video on BHB TV, that should be the most popular video right now, because he talks specifically about what happens when the rates change, what happens when the market slows down, and how he market proofs his business against that. And part of it is marketing. I mean, before it was, maybe not less, a little bit less on the video side, just simply because it hasn't been this way in over 10 years. So, everybody was feasting before, and there's going to be a little bit of famine in the industry going forward. And I think that, we have to make sure that if you want to avoid that famine, you've got to take new approaches. You've got to stand out from the broker down the street. And this is one way to do it for sure.
Well, absolutely. And that we used to focus as mortgage magnates, we would focus on that, lifelong learning, and something that we really bought into was that lifelong learning mantra. And it's still true today. We've gone through, a couple pivots as a company, but getting back to basics, we're still a learning platform for the most part. And you always have to keep your axe sharp. You want to be a lifelong learner. There's no question. And that in these times, like you said, that is what separates you from the guy 3 doors down doing the exact same thing you're doing.
Prime example of it, and to wrap this in a bow, I think, for those that have seen our social media, when we were down in California, we were talking to private and hard money lenders. And I don't care if you're in the US, if you're in Canada, it's the same in both. And that is that if you don't know that world, if you don't know the alt world that Francis talks about in a recent episode of On Point, you're going to be in big trouble in this new market. And it's not because we're saying that everybody's going to be a B client. It doesn't mean that necessarily. But what it does mean is you need diversity in your own platform of products that you offer, your own product shelf. And you also need diversity in how you market. So, if you now do everything, and you work with private lenders, you work in hard money, and you work in alt lending, and whatever it is, wherever you are, you better make sure your client knows that, because you never know what the client needs. And especially if people start to find that things are a little more unaffordable, they've got larger mortgages at lower rates right now, the rates start to change, and those mortgages become a little more unaffordable, or maybe they switch to the B side or whatever it is. This speaks to your point exactly, which is be ready for this change. This is a big change. And if you weren't sharpening your axe and you didn't get ready for this change, you're going to be way behind. I remember as a BDM, even just sitting there with brokers that didn't even want to learn technology. And, that was the big thing at that time, which was, I'm not going to use the Finmos or the Velocities of the world. I'm going to just use my Excel spreadsheet and my giant stack of files on my desk. Well, how's that working out for you right now, right? Because you're not stepping up in any way versus the broker down the street. So, in fact, you just look ridiculous to your client. So that is where, I think that's going to happen again, and it's going to happen in a different way because the way the market is changing, right? So,
Yeah.
I think you speak to a great point there with content, in that content production for sure has to be part of your world, because you need to teach. I mean, your job as a broker or a loan officer is to give advice. All you do every day is mortgages, and so those clients expect you to give that advice, right? And because they expect you to give that advice, you need to prove that you can give that advice, and that one of the best ways is to produce your own content, right? But
Oh,
then the other thing
absolutely.
is,
And
know it,
yeah, no,
right?
that's 100%
Lifelong
right.
learning.
Yeah. And again, as I read through things through these, various times, I read different things as they pique my interest. But video content makes the broker and the lender, whoever is producing it, far more relatable. Your face is out
Absolutely.
there. It develops you into a thought leader or perceived thought leader. You're putting out content, you're saying certain things. It puts you in that level of a leader. So
Yeah.
you're far more relatable than the guy that comes in every 3 to 5 years, sits at your desk, you tell him what he should do, and then he leaves. It's a different world than that nowadays.
Yeah, I don't care if you're a brand new mortgage agent or a broker or loan officer. Doesn't matter. If you just hired, you know more than your client. You already know more than your client. Keep knowing more than your client. The worst thing a client can do
And
is
your
become.
competition.
Absolutely. I mean, the worst thing a client can do is become the bus driver, right? I'm not going to get on a bus and try to drive the bus. I'm going to crash the bus. Well, they're going to crash their mortgage every time they go in and try to use an online platform. Let's be honest. Unless you're the most straightforward A client and there's no hiccups in any way, you're probably going to crash that bus. Well, who should be driving the bus is the bus driver, and that's you as the mortgage broker, right? So it always is, that kind of thing where you get baffled by somebody who, as you say, perceives themselves as a thought leader. No, you are a thought leader, because that is, you already know, just by taking your license, you know more about mortgages than your client does. So prove that now to them. Go out there, attract that client into your business using content. You'll kill it. You'll kill it. And especially nowadays where there's so much choice, the clients are going to be looking for who can help them navigate this new world of higher rates, and Bank of Canada and the Fed raising rates in both the US and Canada. They want to be able to navigate that. If they can't go to their local bank to do that because Timmy, who just got that job, doesn't know a thing about it either, guess who they can go to? The mortgage professional, the independent mortgage professional. So, but they're not going to know that unless you're in front of them, right? So,
no, that's exactly right. And quick little story here. It's how I, 5 years ago, before I was in this industry at all, go down to because it's all I knew. It's all I knew. Go to the bank, sit with the guy who may or may not be new, or gal. So we did that. My wife and I sat there, went back for a second meeting, and somehow we were told that the bank had lost our file. And then the woman, this is a true story. It's going to sound like bollocks, but it's not. The woman said, "We may have thrown it out." Pardon?
That's crazy.
You may have thrown it out. All right, that makes sense. Never heard that before. However, then the next stop was to a mortgage broker, local mortgage broker that we'd seen on video and had talked to before, and I'm not saying it was his video content that made us go to him. He was referred, and it was the best choice we've ever made.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing, Dave, is that all of this content, all of the things that go out that people can see, even if it's just fun content about the team doing something together or whatever, it helps people get to know the mortgage brokerage. It helps people get to know the team and the staff, right?
Well, you have to be visible. There's no question. You just have to be visible. And speaking of that, being visible, I know you want to wrap here and get rid of me and get me back to work. I get it. But I do want to do one shameless plug. Next week, May 5th, CMBA, Chris is speaking in Ottawa. You won't hear a more dynamic speaker. To toot your horn a little bit here, Chris, I've heard you a few times, and it'll be good. I promise you that it will. Now it better be, Chris. But I
You're
promise
setting the
you
bar
it'll,
high, Dave.
yeah, all things podcasting, branding, content wise. He's a far more elegant speaker than I am. So this is going to be a treat next week. That's for sure.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. And make sure that you're doing all of these symposiums this year. I think this year it's probably the most important. If you're involved with whether it's, NAM or Mortgage Professional Canada or AIM, or whether it's, SIMBA, all of these organizations, FAMP, all of these organizations are doing things this year a little differently. They're all getting back to in-person events, and you should be at these. There's a lot changing right now. A lot of important educational information you need to know. Yes, I'm thrilled. I'm excited to be in Ottawa next week to speak, and I'm excited to hear Jeff Rabideau speak there too, and everybody else, and see everybody there again. But definitely try to attend if there's one near you, or if you have to travel even a little bit, do it, because it's well worth the time. Dave, thank you so much for being here and talking about BHB Rich Media and BHBTV and all the things that are going on. Certainly, you can go to bhbrm.com to learn more about how you can start your own podcast, but not just podcasts. I mean, any content, we can certainly help you with that. And even if it's the smallest thing of putting bumpers on a social media video, we've got solutions for that too. So definitely go to bhbrm.com to do that. And you can catch this show on BHBTV, which is bhbtv.net, on your app as well. Download it on iOS and Android, or on your smart TVs. Until then, and until next week, thank you for watching This Broker Life, and we will catch you again on the flip side. Take care, everyone.